It's warming up. All right, welcome to Let Me Talk to My Customer. This is Chad Counts along with my co-host Richard Tyler. Rich, hair's looking good, styling today.
Hey, thank you.
I hopefully next week will be in a similar situation. Always getting the barbers open out here in California is fun to adjust to. So, can you believe it's October, my friend?
I cannot.
The year is flying by. We are in quarter number 4, and after a crazy second quarter, we hope that many of you, if not all of you, had record third quarters. For us and our clients, it was a great third quarter. Things have been really rocking along, and definitely continuing to see those challenges on the in-stock side. But us being part of that broker team and Always Say Yes team, we've been really thrilled to be a part with these companies and growing their brokerage sales and continue to see sales growth maintaining going forward. So we don't have much time available. So if you guys want to get in on sales training, and whether that be individual one-on-ones or sales management, we have limited slots. We are growing our team again to try and accommodate more, make ourselves more available. But in the meantime, if you have someone that needs training, needs assistance, or your team just needs to be challenged and renewed and growing, please reach out to us on our Facebook page, Counts Business Consulting, or you can email me directly at crcounts@countsbusinessconsulting.com. I'm on LinkedIn, on our website. You can find us any way. So in terms of the podcasts, we hope that you've subscribed either or following on Spotify and iTunes. If you rate or review it, we love that. And we continue to hear great feedback. We love hearing from you guys. Hope you're doing well. In terms of upcoming events, we have a new salesperson training that is going off slightly different time than what we mentioned last week. Coming up Thursday, October 15th, it's going to be 10 a.m. Eastern time to 9 a.m. Central time. So we moved that back a half hour to accommodate our sales training schedule. And that is still available for any of you who have a new salesperson's training. We will announce more sales training series coming up here shortly for more experienced people. We have a presentation we're going to be doing with Midwest Runner, with the Midwest Runner group. That's going to be the first Saturday of November. Any members of Midwest Runner, that's going to be a free training for any of your salespeople to participate in. Just RSVP with Josh or myself. Reach out to us and let us know you want to have people attend, and we'll make sure you get that link and get that information. Also have a presentation with ARA in November as well. So doing a lot of preparation for those, have our owners groups meetings this month. It's going to be a busy October, but we're excited. Wouldn't want to have it any other way, and hope it's the same for you guys. So, all right. Thank you for allowing me that spiel. We're going to jump into our content for today, which is, oh, I'm getting sound on that. All right, there we go. Sorry, I had to mute that. All right, we're going to be getting into regaining influence. We finished off our Everything is Selling series, and now we're going to be moving into different topics going forward here. And for today, we're going to be talking about our influence. We're going to be talking about our influence as owners, as managers, and specifically as sales trainers or sales managers. So this is directly impacts us, but I believe this will impact you as salespeople, thinking about your current standing and your current relationship with your sales manager, whoever's training you. And I think as well for owners and managers thinking through our impact on our employees, right? So we are always in a position where we are striving to get more from people, right? It's a somewhat unenviable position to always be asking more from people, right? It can often leave them feeling like, well, you're never satisfied, you're never happy. And so we have to balance out our desire to push forward and to continue to improve. And sometimes what gets lost in our desire for constant improvement is acknowledgement of progress that's going on right now, right? I'm never going to not ask people to improve. Every day of my life, I want to be looking at myself and trying to find some way to get better. And I think for most people, that's a healthy thing. You shouldn't be comfortable standing still and regressing or atrophying or anything like that. We should all be looking for constant improvement and advancement. And at the same time, we understand that that's not going to come consistently. We're going to take big leaps forward sometimes. We're going to take small steps back other times. And at certain points, we might even get stuck in ruts and kind of plateau and flatten out. As owners and managers, we work with a wide variety of people that have different backgrounds, different influences on their life, whether that be parents, spouses, kids, health challenges. And so we're always going to be coming at people or working with people that need some sort of different level of engagement and relationship to be able to maintain influence. So let me pause there. That was kind of a long intro, and bring Rich in here. We've worked with salespeople now for a long time, and we've had several that have been extended relationships for over a year, where we get to the good fortune of training people. What are some of the natural ebb and flows in a management relationship and a training relationship where you're working with somebody to try and continue to improve them and trying to get them to continue to advance?
What are some of the areas where we're looking for continual advancement?
Well, I mean, what are some of the natural ebb and flows, right? Where
Okay.
sometimes it's going along great, and other times, we hit
Sure.
roadblocks or
like general productivity. You've got things like a salesperson having a slump where they're not necessarily selling very well during a week, or the dollar value is just not there. Those are the kind of ebbs and flows we see all the time.
okay. In terms of more on the relational side, though, in terms
Oh,
of
yeah.
when
Look,
you're trying.
things are going good, when things are going good, people are engaged. They want to hear what you have to say. When things are going bad, less so. And after you've had a relationship with somebody for a long time, you can expect there to naturally be at some point, whether things are going good or bad, a little bit of disengagement.
Right. Okay. So that's the main thing. When we're talking about regaining influence today, this is going to be specifically for any of our staff members that we're sensing a lack of engagement. That could demonstrate itself in resistance, openly challenging or complaining or criticizing certain policy changes or technical changes or phone techniques or anything, right? This sense you're working with them, and whatever you throw out there for them, for their improvement, for their benefit, they've got a laundry list of reasons why that won't work, right?
Yeah.
Rich, does that happen often?
It happens all the time.
Okay. So
you know what? I will say this. Look, it happens to good salespeople and it happens to bad salespeople.
yeah, that's regardless of experience or skill level. Yeah, absolutely. And so I think as owners and managers, and this isn't just a sales issue either, right? This can happen with your production staff. This could happen with your drivers, your dismantlers, whoever. We have to, when we sense that, the answer is not to, well, just keep it twofold. We typically react doing two things. We continue just saying the same things over and over again that they don't listen to and they complain about and we get frustrated with, or we stop saying anything. We're like, okay, this isn't worth it. We quit on this person. They're never going to listen. Those tend to be the two most common responses when we get in a situation like this. And ultimately, I think both of those are wrong and problematic. They don't leave us or the employee in a position where either is satisfied or happy, right? It becomes a stale relationship or a non-influential, non-positive relationship. So the outcomes that I like to see in this situation? Well, I should say there's one outcome I like to see, and the other is a necessary outcome. The necessary outcome is to a certain point, if this person is no longer able to be influenced, this person is no longer able to be engaged, this person doesn't want to be a part of what we're doing and growing going forward, then they're already signing their being fired slip, right? I'm starting to plan at that point your replacement, right? If you're not going to work with me, I'm trying to find a way, to move, right? I'm not going to be satisfied staying still, so I'm going to be looking to go forward. That is not the outcome I want. I never want that, right? Especially if it's a good, valuable employee. I want to find a way to move past this block, this barrier, and move forward. That said, as an owner and manager, my duty is to the company, and I'm not in a position where I can just let somebody anchor down, right? I have to try and prepare for that. So, that's something we look at, and a lot of times that's easier said than done, especially right now. It's not an easy hiring environment. There's a lot of positions that are wanting to be filled and difficult to be filled. However, those are long-term plans, right? Those are things that I put in my mind that, hey, if you're not going to get with the program here, I need to start recruiting. I need to start bringing in people that I see as potential to come in. All right, let's table that, because that's not helpful. None of us want to end there, but that ultimately, as an owner or manager, don't feel stuck. If that's what you're facing, you need to start preparing for how to move beyond that. And I'm not saying you want that to be the case, but that's a necessary aspect of the business we're in.
Okay, so
Okay.
a more constructive outcome, a more the supportive outcome that we're looking for. How do we facilitate that?
Right. So we have to, for the other person trying to get past this blockade, we have to go back to the beginning of why we're both striving for the same thing. We have to find common ground, ultimately, right? We have to go back to square one and say, hey, what do you want to see happen here? Where's your desire? Because even in this situation, more often than not, the employee isn't saying, I don't want to do well. The employee isn't saying, I'm working to perform poorly. It tends to be more, they're not confident or they're not sold that what we're asking them to do will work, or they don't believe that what we're asking for is really in their best interest. More often than not, that's what typically becomes the barrier, is that they become convinced that we're asking them to do it only in our interest. Right? We're asking them to make a change to sell more warranties, but they're not really going to get anything out of it. Right? Or we're asking them to broker more, and it's really just causing more problems for them, but they're not really going to get any benefit from it. So and oftentimes that's not true. Oftentimes when we walk through the numbers, that's not really what's there, but it's what they believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not lying to us when they tell us that's what they think. They're either scared of that or they're frustrated. They don't really understand why we're asking them to do that. And our mistake as owners and managers is these companies, we're running 100 miles an hour, right? We're just going. And we rarely take the time to stop. Say, hey, you've been here 10 years. You've done a tremendous job. Look at all the things you're doing. You're a great employee. You've accomplished this. You've accomplished that. Have I told you how thrilled I am with that? And in the past, I've asked you to change this. I've asked you to change that. And look where we've gotten, right? We've gotten there together. And so as an owner and manager, I have to walk back through why we're here. We're here to serve the customer. We're here to do the best with what we can do. We're here to take the 100 calls that we have today and sell the most out of them. Yes, 10,000 is great, but why would I sit there and say, hey, do I want 12,000 a day? Absolutely, of course, right? I can acknowledge where we're at is good and we're having success. And I can also acknowledge that, hey, there's more opportunity and there's better numbers to do even from there. And then we work together to achieve that. I don't want to simply just ask you to achieve a result and not provide you the support or techniques or resources or opportunities to achieve those.
Right.
So is that, I mean, Rich, when you're running into that and starting to get pullback or lack of engagement, where does it typically, when you root that out, where does it typically stem from the employee?
Okay, well, like you said, it always occurs when we're asking for something to change, right?
Hmm,
So I think kind of one of the areas it stems from is just never having been asked to make a change before, or never
okay.
been asked to do something differently before. In a lot of instances, we're talking about salespeople who have years, years of experience and habit doing it a certain way. So just
Right.
that that I think is one of the things that it stems from.
Yeah, and so they're not used to overcoming their own objections, right? And that's true. That's a very good point. I hadn't really thought of that. That the other reason why we're going so fast and encountering resistance is there's a lot of pre-built experience for these salespeople, and in their mind, it's a negative experience anytime they've tried this or done that, and so they have some pre-built assumptions that we're not taking the time to go all the way through to clarify or overcome that hurdle, right? So that's often the case of most managers. When you are experiencing yourself failing or not connecting, right? You're not getting, there's a sense of when things are going well and we're making positive changes. There's this sense that I call resonance, right? That the idea that we're pursuing, the change we're trying to pursue, yeah, the light bulb comes on, or we get it. There's this sense that we are in lockstep, right? We're resonating. And that's great. Managers, owners, we love that when that's happening. A lot of us, though, don't have the tools in our tool belt when that's not, right? The opposite, dissonance. When there's resistance, or they're kind of telling us yes, but we can tell the light bulb's not on, or we can see and the results are changing. There's something happening that they're not converting to this new technique, or they're not even attempting this new technique, or they're not willing to make a change, right? Or they're fighting us on it. What is it that's really stalling them out? We don't like to stop. Most of us don't like to stop. We have an idea, we have an agenda, we want to pursue it. And this is the difficult work. This is where the best owners, managers, trainers in my life are really effective. They realize once they've reached that dissonance, okay, I'm going to stop pursuing the agenda. I'm going to stop. I'm going to figure out where we're at. I'm going to connect with you. I'm going to engage with you. I'm going to hear your side. I didn't say I'm going to agree with it. I didn't say I'm going to stop pursuing that, forever, but I need to figure out where we're at, because if we're going to succeed together, we've got to make the journey together. I've got to lead you. And if I'm going to lead you, I can't pull you all the time. I will wear myself out. I will wear you out, and we won't go together. So as a leader, you have to stop and gather and understand and cast a vision, a compelling vision and reason behind why what we're pursuing and why what we're going after is meaningful. Okay.
And so
As
I have a
owners,
question.
yeah,
That's the first step then. That's the first step to regaining that influence.
right. We have to re-engage. We have to re-engage. And for that, I have to figure out where they're at, and I have to meet them on that common ground. I have to make sure that they feel they're understood. And even for them, we're a male dominant business. Most people won't say, I don't need that, right? But honestly, they do. I mean, they might not acknowledge that, but they need to know that their complaint is heard. It might not be correct, but it's valid in their mind, whatever they think, right? And in some cases, we've seen it's a faulty assumption. They think they're not going to make more money, or they think we're trying to harm them from money in the long run, or we don't support them. And that's one of those naturally difficult things in a lot of operations. Anytime there's compensation changes or there's pay plan changes, we often, I think, we make that too quick, and that's made it a management level, and the conversation doesn't play out where their concerns are addressed. And then what we see is a demotivated salesperson for the next month or 2 months, and we have to go back and repair that and figure out where that's at. It is a healthy thing in any sales organization to reset commissions. As we grow, as we buy more inventory, as the market dynamics change, commission plans should not be stagnant. They should not stay the same, right? Now, that should be beneficial on the salesperson side and the company side, where the plan allows better growth for the company going forward. And the salesperson should be able to see that, okay, I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to buy more inventory. I'm going to continue to buy more inventory. And the company should be able to see that, okay, I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to buy more inventory. And the company should be able to see that, okay, I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to buy more inventory. And the company should be able to see that, okay, I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to buy more inventory. And the company should be able to see that, okay, I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to buy more inventory. And the company should be able to see that, okay, I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to buy more inventory. And the company should be able to see that, okay, I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to buy more inventory. And the company should be able to see that, okay, I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to buy more inventory. And the company should be able to see that, okay, I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to buy more inventory. And the And if it allows better growth for the company going forward, that should allow more growth for the salesperson going forward also, right? So we want to work and strive for mutually beneficial solutions. And oftentimes managers feel like they execute on that. However, if the communication doesn't connect with the salespeople, we're not achieving those ends anyways, right? But ultimately, these are the skills that are difficult. It's difficult to operate at different speeds. It's difficult to stop what you're doing in that sense of, especially right now. I think a lot of companies are feeling successful, but how quickly does burnout happen? How quickly does loss of engagement happen for a salesperson? And I would say an engaged, what do you think the difference in sales production is, Rich, between an engaged and disengaged? So like when you look at their numbers and you see, oh, they're engaged versus they're not engaged, how big is that difference in daily numbers?
It's on, oh, it could be double or triple. I mean, an engaged salesperson is going to produce at least double what a disengaged salesperson does.
Yeah, I mean, it can be dramatic. I mean, whether you let that last for a week, whether you let that last for a month, I would say on average, you're probably looking at 20% change in performance over the long run, because most of them, if they're successful and they're disengaged, they've got a really high floor. They're not necessarily going to just disappear. However, they're not going to hit goals. They're not going to be growing going forward, right? Or they're going to cap out. They're going to plateau.
Yeah, you're not going to see year over year, month over month growth, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So this is something that's a really dynamic skill. It's a valuable skill, and it's one that even in a lot of young sales managers or younger owners, it's not necessarily ones that we come pre-equipped with. However, the solution is really a lot simpler than what we realize more often than not. And your ability to engage people and connect with people, and we're in the salvage business, right? So salvage people, and a lot of times they're getting burnout or they're disengaging. They're not necessarily realizing what they're doing. They're not recognizing why they're doing it or how they're doing it. As an owner or a manager, my job is to get the most out of that person. So I have to stop. I have to figure out what's going on and reconnect. Now, once that's done, that's on the employee side then to pick up the reins and get back to work, right? And get back to pulling together, right? I can't lead them the whole way, but once that step is taken, once we've re-engaged and reconnected and we understand each other and that barrier isn't there anymore, then we need to start seeing the step in the right direction, right? We need to start seeing that step towards performance again. So anyways, I thought that was really valuable. And in some ways, this is part of the Everything is Selling series too, of you'll see in your personal lives, whether with your kids or with your spouse or with your parents or other important relationships, where for whatever reason, we can lose engagement with people. Especially political world these days or everything that's going on. It's really easy for people that we love and care about. All of a sudden we let something that isn't central to us become a means for interrupting our continued growth and relationships together, right? As opposed to acknowledging, hey, there is this difference between us and I get that and that's okay. I still want the best for you. That doesn't have to change our outlook for that person or our desire for that person. And so we have to be very careful with how we let those things come between us, whether it be in our workforce or whether that be in our personal lives. So again, we always want the best. We want the best for people going forward. We want to see success for people going forward. And these are a lot of the things that people can't fix for themselves, or our employees are in a position where they're not able to solve this lack of engagement because the issue exists between them and their superior.
Mhm.
And we need to figure out how to resolve that before we move forward. So why we're talking about this, their seasons of success has been a very successful year. However, what comes after that? You know, it's typically a plateau or disengagement, or people have been pushing and succeeding for a while. Now they're starting to burn out. So we need to have our eyes open. We need to have our ears open to see what's happening with our employees to make sure that they're finely tuned and we keep them engaged, because this never stops. There's some salespeople, there's some employees, you will do this every 2 to 3 months. they need a tune up that often. They just frequently disengage, right? And others, you maybe have to do this once a year, or it's much more rare. But this is skills as a manager that you need to have and you need to work on and develop. If there's something that you don't feel particularly competent in, or you need to work on this skill yourself, again, Rich and I are here to support you guys. Work with many experienced and new sales managers as well. Come alongside them and help them identify some of these blocks, this disengagement, this lack of performance, and figure out, where do we need to go? How do we overcome that? Let's come up with a blueprint to do this so that we can reach the success we know, that we know is there to be achieved. Okay. Any other thoughts, Rich?
No, and to just kind of draw it to a summary, it's about making sure that the other person is on board with mutual goals. If there's something that we can come back to, and that could be some really basic element, like, look, we're just trying to, make sure this operation runs smoothly. Are you on board with that? Whatever the mutual goal is, if it can be brought back to that, clarified, that is that allows us to be able to re-engage and increase our influence.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I like best about the work that we do, Rich, is without the success of the people we work for or work with, we have nothing, right? Our customer base is who we succeed with and who we grow with. And I love that mutual alignment. And I'm amazed how difficult sometimes that is to convince the employees that we're there for their benefit. Like, hey, if you don't succeed, I don't succeed, right? It is literally, it's the antithesis of what I'm here for, right? Is something not to work. So if we try something out and it's not working, hey, I'm just as concerned about that as you are. And I wouldn't be asking you to do something I didn't believe would work for you, or I haven't had success with elsewhere. So it's easy to overlook that. And I think maybe other companies, that's not always the case. It's easy to lose sight of the success of my customers comes from my employees successfully serving my customers. So as a manager and an owner, if I'm not successfully serving my employees, that puts me at risk for them not, continuing the cycle and not taking care of the customers and so forth and so on. We always look at employees as our internal customer. If I don't treat them with the level of service and care that I want them to treat the customer with, who's to blame in that scenario? And so we want to wear that as a badge of honor, that we live to serve, we live to help, and that service is what will lead us to success, and we believe in that. So we hope that we've enjoyed being a part of the companies that we are with and serving currently, and we hope that if there are others of you out there that are struggling with this, that you're struggling with burnout, you're struggling with the lack of engagement, we're here to help. That's not abnormal. That's a part of life. That's part of business. And the worst thing you can do is isolate or just let it lie. That debt is always going to come due when you lose engagement or you lose passion for what you're doing. So hope that you've enjoyed that this week. Again, we have new salesperson training coming up in 2 weeks, October 15th at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So let us know if you are interested in signing up a salesperson for that. If you're a Midwest runner, be on the lookout for that announcement about our November training. And again, we have a few spots left for one-on-one trainings for salespeople. And we have, I think, maybe 1 or 2 spots for sales management. So grab those before they get away from you. We're entering that season where the lack of inventory coming in is really going to add up. And so if your team isn't ready to broker like crazy or take advantage of all the value that's coming their way, you need to get us on board with your team so that we can help them achieve the growth that's there to be had and everybody else in the industry is having. So don't fall behind. Reach out to us, Facebook, countsbusinessconsulting.com. Find me on LinkedIn, Chad Counts, or email me at crcounts@countsbusinessconsulting.com. We would love to hear from you. We hope you all are doing well. Fourth quarter, here we come. Let's close strong. Let's have a record year. 2020 is many things. Let's make let's make it a record year on top of that. All right.
Sure.
Well, thanks, Rich, for being on here, and thank you everybody for listening with us.
Take care. Have a good one.